U.S. suspense. There's a lot of stuff happening in Africa. Africa's getting their shit together, and Africa is done with American imperialism. So U.S. suspends security cooperation with Niger as Europeans evacuate. What? The United States has suspended security cooperation with military forces in Niger following an effort to oust the elected president there, a Pentagon spokesman said. A new acknowledgement of the seriousness of conditions on the ground as the Biden administration grapples with how to respond to last week's apparent coup. The administration has been hesitant to label events in Niger a coup, a designation that under U.S. law could require the cessation of both security and economic assistance because of the country's key role as a Western ally in counterterrorism efforts in Africa's Sahel region, where the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, and other terror groups are active, and its status as one of the few remaining democracies in the region. Is that a word? Riven by military overthrow. I would say driven, right?
Yeah, I think they just forgot the date.
When they called them a Western ally, what that means is they do whatever the United States imperialists tell them to do. Yeah. That's what that means.
France.
After investing deeply in its relationship with deposed President Mohamed Bazoum, who took office in 2021 in the first democratic transfer of power since Niger's independence from France in 1960, the administration had viewed Niger as a hopeful democratic outpost in the region. Now policymakers say they face choices in which a misstep could make the situation worse, even as they hold out hope that it's not too late to restore the democratically elected leader to power. Are you fucking kidding me? Of course, this is the Washington Post saying this shit.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike. So correct me if I'm wrong on this. Kurt, you're not Kurt. You're Craig.
Yes.
So this is another case of the American imperialist capitalists losing control of a country.
Absolutely.
That country wanted to have democratic self-rule.
Yes. They wanted their own national sovereignty and their own resources, Jimmy. They want to keep them, but France and United States are deep in there. So when they say hopeful democratic outpost, you mean their whole hopeful dictator
you
puppet
mean the
government.
The puppet government.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what they're saying is the United States and France are shitting their pants because they lost their puppet government, and they call that, we hope we can get democracy back, right? That's what they say. The United States has 2 military bases inside Niger. About 1,000 troops are deployed there for counterterrorism purposes and partnered operations with Niger's military forces. There's no decision to use them in any way to support evacuation efforts by other countries, and there have been no decisions made about pre-positioning any additional U.S. forces in or nearby Niger for that purpose. If we have to make adjustments, we'll make adjustments. We're just not there yet, said that spokesman for the Biden, Kirby. U.S. constructed air base in Niger begins operations. And just to let you know, these are the United States military bases around the world. Oh, where's Niger? I don't even know.
I can't. Yeah, it's on the west part of the country over there. Yeah, it's landlocked in. But the region has now said if they come in there and start messing around, the neighbors they're gonna push back to as well. So you see this kind of like Pan-African kind of forming over there where they're going to start protecting each other. They want the French out. They want the West out. They want them gone. Burkina Faso, Niger, they're pushing back.
And this is our bases in Africa. That's the United States. That's the United States military bases. That's not Russia's. That's not China. That's not Africa's. That's the United States military bases in Africa.
Yep.
And this is Niger here.
It's landlocked. So.
Okay, so a number of weekend demonstrators appeared in the streets with Russian flags. Did you know that? But despite reports that Moscow or Russia's Wagner mercenary group was somehow involved in fomenting the apparent coup attempt, there's no indication that Russia was behind this or was materially supporting it in any way or responsible for what's happening, said White House spokesperson John Kirby. I wonder why he would say that.
Yeah. I would think it would be the other way around.
Yeah, I would think he would want to blame Russia.
Give them some time, hold my beer.
Yeah.
They'll come around.
So my French isn't good here, but what I think he's saying, it's time to kick the French out.
Libertad, hacen libertad, Traoré, Chayani, la armée, la CDAO, la France,
I think that's what he's saying. U.S. troops restricted to American bases, embassy in Niger. In addition to Niger's resources like uranium and gold, one of the reasons the U.S. is so angry about the nationalist coup is the Pentagon spent $110 million there building a massive drone base it uses to control the Sahel. The CIA also has a base in Niger. So there you go. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Niger in March while pressuring African countries to cut ties with China and Russia. I think we covered this. I think we covered when that happened, and they told him to go pound sand.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Niger had become a critical U.S. ally in the Sahel region. Am I saying that properly? Sahel. It has 2 U.S. drone bases and 800 U.S. military personnel were there. The Pentagon stated that it will keep its contingent in Niger, about 1,000 soldiers, regardless of the demands of the military junta to end military cooperation with this country. This means another illegal. So what they're saying is that the current people running Niger, the people of Niger, do not want 1,000 U.S. troops in there. They want U.S. out. U.S. says we ain't going anywhere. This means another illegal occupation like the one in Syria. Just so we are illegally occupying Syria. We just built a military base in Syria, someone else's country.
Yeah.
And we did the same thing here in Niger.
Yeah. And Jimmy, we're stealing their oil, grain, supplies in Syria. So what's that mean for Niger? They're going to do the same.
They're the same thing.
They're going to do the same.
Now it's the USA's turn to be kicked out of all sports like Russia, right? Because we're occupying. Oh, no. No. There you go. So good for Niger. And I wonder, you know what? I can't wait to see how this gets reported. Well, we just saw how it's reported in the Washington Post. Wait till you see. I would love to wait to see the corporate media news video, the TV shows. I want to see how they cover it because that's always funny. And then they always bring on a general to tell you, why we need more war.
Do you remember when Congress didn't even know we had all those bases and troops inside Africa? They were like, what do you mean?
Really?
Like, yeah, we have all these bases and troops inside Africa, AFRICOM. And, it was Obama who put the drone bases there, and Trump came in and armed those drones. So it's like, meet the old boss, the new boss, same as the old boss. And
I didn't know that. I didn't know that Congress was shocked by that.
They were shocked by how many troops were in Africa. They did not know.
They don't watch the Jimmy Dore show, because if they did, they would see this. They would see all the military bases in Africa.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at them all. Oh my God. Look at all of them. Jesus H effing.
Well, in defense of RFK too, yesterday that event was pretty cool too as well. I mean, obviously he was talking about the wall, but we were able to pivot when I got my question and talk about the bases. And I asked him point blank after this long question, I said, are you committed to closing these bases? And I was talking in Latin America, but he goes, yes, we have too many bases. We have 800 and something of them, and we're going to start in Latin America. But, he's talked about closing these bases and knowing that there's too much. And I'm happy when he does say that there are 800 bases and China only has 2. So he's even pointing out the disparities between the 2 superpowers.
Come see our live shows. We're going to be in Chicago, Rosemont, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, New York City, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Stamford, Toronto, Toledo, Detroit, St. Louis, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.